Traveling on the ice surface is a little spooky sometimes. 4.5 months always in a tent. And so if you're out on the ice and you got white ice and you got fog, you're in deep trouble. You know, just going willy-nilly just doesn't hack it. I'm Robert Rutford, and I live here in Richardson, Texas. 86 years old, and I'm a glacial geologist, geomorphologist, and have been involved in Antarctic research for 25 or 30 years. Oh, yeah. Mount Hubley, here we had camps there, and we had camps, Gardner out here.
I was shocked because I knew nothing about Antarctica. I had no idea that he was going to be gone for 5-6 months at a time.
And when I came home, the 2-year-old wouldn't have a thing to do with me. Well, the first one was 1959. We started pretty crudely. We started with walking, pulling sleds, exactly the same as Scott and Shackleton did, with a little sled behind and a harness, and when you walked, the sled followed you, and when you stopped, it stopped. We mapped the Ellsworth Mountains in 3 years. The interesting thing is there have been other groups back in there, and they haven't changed anything than what we did. I try to figure out why things look the way they are on the surface. You're dealing with the surface morphology, how things got to be the way they are. And so you're looking at stream action and wind action and glacial action. And we made some discoveries that are still referred to in the literature. I mean, here's this great big chunk of the world that nobody's ever looked at. Now you begin to fit the pieces together. So the whole purpose is to simply give us a better understanding of our world. The first thing that was named after me was the Rutford Ice Stream. It's like a glacier, except it's not rock-walled. A whole lot of the names in the Jones Mountains and in the Ellsworth Mountains I proposed. I mean, these were names of the guys that I worked with, but I never put my name in. Somebody else put my name in years later. Right there is Mount Rutford. On this mount, this was Mount Craddock and the Craddock Massif, which is a big block of mountains. The rule of thumb was you take 2 pairs of underwear with you, and you wear the first pair until they get dirty, then you wear the second pair until the first pair looks clean. Well, these are early expedition when the materials given to us were not too great. This is a sweater that my mother knit for me. The Army sweaters were a little itchy, and so she got that soft wool and knitted me the sweater. And you notice they're all dressed differently. And how do you determine that? You determine that they issue you the clothing the first year, and the second year you bring your own, because you know what works and what doesn't. Birkenstocks. When do I wear them? You know, when I come back and kick my shoes off, like at McMurdo and in and out of buildings and so on. I like that shape and form, and they're comfortable. It's when I was at the University of Nebraska. Marla, who was the lady who owned the Birkenstock store in Lincoln, Nebraska, and she lived next door to us, and I don't know, we were, you know, over the back fence. I was giving her a hard time about something, and I said, well, you know, Marla, next time I go to the South Pole, I'm gonna get a picture of your Birkenstock shoes. There's South Pole, right there. And that's where the photograph came from. Every time I put my foot down, it was the first, as far as I know, it was the first person to ever walk there. And that's kind of, you know, you got to stop and think a little bit, boy. Wow, you know, we are pioneers.